have a rendezvous with death. We'll preserve the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
No fear. No political correctness. No wokeism. You're listening to Underground USA.
Thanks for downloading, listening, and sharing. My name is Frank Salvato, and you're spending a few moments in Underground USA. This will be the third podcast I'm doing that focuses exclusively on the incredible damage and destruction caused in western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, and all the locations that were in Hurricane Helene's path, but focus primarily on North Carolina and Tennessee. Those of us looking on from afar can only do what we can to convey the utter devastation that has affected those areas. It's horrendous. But better than onlookers explaining what's happening, it's much more effective, chilling and frightening, in fact, to facilitate the words of people who are there and have been lucky enough to get the word out about what they're going through. Some of these clips can be long, but I'm warning you now that every word is either heart-wrenching or infuriating. The only way you can turn away from these reports is to exist as cold-blooded and heartless. The first clip is a passionate and heartbreaking plea from a resident in the affected area.
Asheville is horrendous. It looks like a freaking bomb got set off over there, especially where Biltmore is. If you're headed towards Hendersonville, that whole area looks like a bomb has been set off. But guys, that's not what needs to be covered. I need you all to share this. Share it and tag and share and tag. Get this out. I need this to reach as far west. People, we have communities. We have people in these Appalachian Mountains right now. Right here in these Appalachian Mountains, we have brothers and sisters that are stuck, that are trapped. It has been 7 days. 7 days since Hurricane Helene hit the United States. We've got people trapped in these mountains. And people are asking where our military is. Our military can't do anything until the leader of this stupid country right now signs off on it. So our military is stuck. They cannot put boots on the ground. They cannot hike these Appalachian Mountains. They cannot rescue these people that are in these mountains that are stuck. They can't get to them. They can't do anything. Our military can't do anything because they will not sign the orders to release them. It is up to us American people, and we are doing everything we can. We got hit in Greene County. Our riverbank is gone. Houses are gone. I need y'all to understand, outside of these Appalachian Mountains, the news are not covering it. They're not telling what it's like. The county above us, Unicoi County, is the county you've seen all over the news where the people were on top of the hospital, had to be rescued. You saw how much water they had. That water came down to Greene County. You all have saw Newport, Cott County. Dolly was there yesterday. Dolly Parton. That's where she done her press conference where she's donating $2 million. $1 million out of her pocketbook and $1 million out of her donation or out of her fund. Guys, East Tennessee and Western North Carolina is 1,000 times worse than the news has made it out to be. There is people, I need y'all to understand, especially coastal states. You all that live in a state that is surrounded by the ocean, that it connects to the ocean. When you get hit with a hurricane, yours involves an ocean. That ocean comes in, it floods you, but it sucks back out. You are still left with your buildings. You're still left with your homes to be able to go in and see if you can salvage anything. Okay? You're left with that. These people aren't left with that. These people don't even have a structure to go back to see if they can save anything. These people don't have anything to go back to look at. It is a concrete slab, and it's here, and it's in Unicoi, and it's in Cott County, and it's across that state line in North Carolina. And I'm going to tell you now, North Carolina is so much worse than anywhere. Those mountain towns, you've got to understand, people live off grid for a reason. They want to keep talking about the death toll. They want to keep comparing this hurricane to Katrina and the death toll. I'm here to tell you now, and I've told other people, and I've talked to news stations, and I'm telling you, this death toll will blow Katrina out of the water. There is people we don't even know who was on those Appalachian Mountains hiking them. There is people that live off grid for a reason. We have no idea how many people lived in those mountains. We don't know how many homeless people had camps set up in those mountains. I can tell you now, where I live, there was homeless camps set up all along the river. And now they're gone. And we don't even know if the homeless made it out. We don't know if they're alive. We don't know anything, people. We don't know. You need to understand there are bodies washing up. This ain't a joke. There is counties in North Carolina that don't have enough body bags. They have already filled thousands. There is one county in particular, they've done filled 1,000 and they're begging for more because they don't have any more. Please do not compare this hurricane to Katrina. Don't even compare what Florida got from Hurricane Helene. Do not compare what they got compared to East Tennessee and Western North Carolina, because I'm going to tell you now, we're not the same. We are not the same. People have asked, why were we not prepared? You can't prepare for something that has never happened. It's the same as asking Florida, why are you not prepared for a blizzard? Because a blizzard has never happened in Florida. We are either in Tennessee. I do not connect to an ocean. There is no reason that we should have had that much damage. Have we ever been flooded by hurricanes? Yes. But nothing like what we just endured. If you have ever stepped foot in these Appalachian Mountains and hiked them, we need you here. We need foot. We need people on foot. If you have ever hiked the Rocky Mountains, get here. We need you. We need people experiencing hiking. There's only a few ways to these people. It is to foot, horseback, or helicopter. Dirt bikes, ATVs, side-by-sides. If you have them and can get to East Tennessee or Western North Carolina, we need you. Do not listen to the news when they tell you that they don't want you, they don't need you. I'm telling you, I am here. I live here. I have been already. I'm telling you, we need you. We want you here. The hell with what FEMA says. The hell with what American Red Cross says. They're not here. I'm telling you, they're not here helping. It's been a week and they're not here. We need manpower. So if you are an experienced hiker, we need you in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. If you are experienced dirt biker, we need you. If you are experienced in ATVs, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, whatever, we need you. We cannot get automobiles up in there. Trucks is not an option. Cars is not an option. If you own private helicopters, we need you. If they threaten to arrest you, we got you as the American people. We need you. These people need saved. These bodies need to be brought down.
This clip comes from a volunteer worker who expounds on the intentional obstacles FEMA is putting in place for the rescue workers who are primarily volunteers and private citizens.
We were sitting in the private portion of the airport, and we got to overhear an awful lot. The Army pilots, the Navy pilots, hospital representatives, there was a lot of chatter. While we were there, a private jet landed and 4 FEMA representatives got off. Four people off of a private jet. Come to find out, Mission Hospital was told, a private hospital, that they are going to go ahead and be the morgue center for body recovery. All of the Army Chinook helicopters you're seeing flying overhead, they are doing body recovery. FEMA said, and you can take this as a direct quote, said that they are too tied up at the border to send any more representatives. Yeah, at the border. I guess border control trumps whatever's going on here. So, they told Mission Hospital they are not sending refrigerated trucks so that they can stack the bodies up. And we also overheard that whatever fatality numbers you are hearing, and this is a quote, go ahead and add a couple of zeros. So FEMA's too busy with the border. A private hospital and the Army are going to take over body recovery, and private individuals with their private helicopters and their private planes are the ones who are flying in supplies. FEMA is doing nothing. Go ahead and share that.
This next clip comes courtesy of a personal friend, Connie, who lives in North Carolina and who is on her way or has probably already arrived to volunteer to help. It features a water rescue worker with years of experience on the job. You'll notice that as these accounts are presented, They both get worse and corroborate the reports as worse than being reported.
So I just got out of the water. We're up at the local emergency operations center. They have a Starlink set up, and water rescues are continuous. So the mud is insane here. The amount of bridges that are out, the amount of landlocked, stranded people is unbelievable. There's still plenty of people completely unaccounted for. Keep these locals in your prayers, because I've been doing this since 2013. I got some guys with me that have done it 30 years, and they've never seen anything like this. It's wild. The pictures and videos are nothing compared to seeing it in person. I don't even know how it's possible that it happened. But the job goes on.
This next clip was sent to me by a Florida friend, Bill, and features a member of the Florida State Guard Special Missions Unit.
My name's Jonathan Howard. I'm a member of the Florida State Guard Special Missions Unit, and I'm also up here with Aerial Recovery, a nonprofit. I came up here on Sunday with Aerial Recovery before we even got activated. We flew up here, and then we got activated, which was great. I have my team up here working as well. Here's the problem. I'm going to tell you everything that's happening from the ground, what I'm actually seeing, because what they're telling you is complete bullshit on the news, and these politicians don't have a fucking clue, and they're lying. Now, I'll say this now, I'll say it at the end of the video. The only thing I need from this video is helicopters. If I have helicopters, I can save lives. Without helicopters, I can't reach these people. It doesn't matter how many chainsaws and trucks I got, I can't get to them. They're 10 miles in, 20 miles, 40 miles in the mountains. There's no way to get with them or even communicate with them. I am literally flying around in a civilian helicopter looking for SOS messages carved in the mud or painted on the ground, and we're dropping down and saving them. What got me fired up about this was yesterday, me and my team did the rescue of that 11-day-old baby. And all these government officials and social media, they're showing that video, that pictures and video of that rescue, and claiming that like they have some like government helped with that. And I mean, even USA, I think it was USA Today, wrote an article about it saying it was a Florida National Guard that went and got it, like with a helicopter. No, it was me, my buddy Charlie, and a civilian named Zeb with his own personal helicopter out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Like without that civilian, that baby would be dead. And the old lady we went and rescued after that, she'd be dead too, because she had 1 day left of oxygen. No one was going to go get them. I will tell you, when we go up in the air, I probably see 40 civilian helicopters, and I might see 2 Blackhawks, National Guard, military, whatever they are. That's it. No one's out there doing rescues. I have my entire team up here from Florida right now, and they have no ability to go rescue these people other than what they can drive to. And the people that are in dire need, they're out in the mountains. They are completely cut off. Now, I will say, I spoke to my congresswoman down in Florida, and she's a badass, and she made a bunch of phone calls, and now we got 2 contracted 60s coming up here tomorrow, which is great. I love that, but like, I still don't understand why we don't have more helicopters. Like, we'll get a lot of work done with that, but there's no military. There's no one's doing nothing. It blows my mind. And they're not even allowing people to see what's really going on. One of our friends yesterday, they were actually escorting CNN down at Lake Lure, and they wouldn't even let CNN, the sheriff department would not let them go videotape the bad areas, how destructive it is. I don't know why they don't want to show you all that, but I mean, it is bad. I should also say, when I flew here on Sunday, they actually stopped us from going in, the sheriff department. And it was because of a bunch of politics that they were claiming was the Speaker of the House of North Carolina that was preventing us from even going in and trying to kick us out, which I have clarified today with North Carolina politicians that reached out to me, good on them, and they were like, that's complete bullshit. The Speaker of the House has nothing. He wants you guys there. But this is the kind of political BS that is happening here right now. Like, everyone's trying to be in charge without taking any type of action. Nobody wants to coordinate with anybody. Everybody wants to pretend like they're being the hero while these people are literally fucking dying in the mountains. And these people, like I'm saying, these people are limited medication. They're running out of oxygen, and there's no one going to get them. The most effective way I have found to go find these people is by getting in a helicopter and flying down the rivers and roads and looking for SOS messages or people waving us down. And then we drop down and get them. We have all these people here. We have law enforcement, we have State Guard, National Guard. They have no way to go get these people. Yesterday, when I was at the Asheville airport refueling, which, by the way, the civilian is paying all this out of his own pocket. He's not even looking for a reimbursement. I think we did 4 refuelings yesterday. And that was like just in half a day's work. We're in Asheville, and I saw 2 Air Force helicopter 60s. And I knew they were PJs, just looking at them. And I went up to them, I'm like, hey guys, like, what are y'all doing? And like, this is what you need to be doing, this is how I'm finding people. And they're like, we can't go. We're waiting on Title 10 orders. And I'm like, what? They can't get any authority. There's military helicopters all over here sitting on the ground, and they can't do nothing. Even my JSOC boys in Fayetteville, they can't get orders to come out here. It is just the most disgusting thing, and they're killing these people. And I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know what kind of conspiracy. I've heard so many things, whatever you want to come up with. But they are literally allowing these people to fucking die in the mountains right now because we can't get helicopters. They got money for everything else in the fucking world right now, but if they could just get us helicopters, we could fly out there and rescue these people. So I hope this video goes viral. I hope these politicians get fired. I hope people get pissed off. They'll probably kick me out of the state of North Carolina for doing this, but you know what? I don't care, because if I can save one more life for it, it's fucking worth it to me.
This next clip features a volunteer with boots on the ground at a relief materials aid staging area at the Asheville airport, and again expounds on FEMA's obstruction, incompetence, and dereliction of duty. By the way, Facebook has decided, the Facebook censorship Nazis over there have decided that this is disinformation, even though this man is showing you this so you could see it with your own eyes. Facebook sucks.
We're at the airport today. Yesterday, they ran like 30-something planes, a bunch of trips up to Western North Carolina, Asheville, that whole area, wherever they can land and drop off supplies. And FEMA has flown in like 10 or more helicopters and blocked a runway here at Greenville downtown. Completely took over, or almost took over the operation, just because they're doing some good here. FEMA's going to come here and try to stop it. And they took over one of the hangars over here too. We'll show you as much as we can. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, here's the helicopters that are blocking one of the runways here at Greenville downtown. All flown in by FEMA helicopter pilots. And they're just sitting there doing nothing. And you have Greenville Aviation over here taking in all kind of supplies, everything that people want to drop off. There's a huge operation going on over here. Yesterday we ran about 30-something planes, or they did, I didn't fly anything, but just putting stuff in planes, taking it up to Asheville and other areas, and they came in and halted. FEMA came in and halted all that operation. And there they are, just sitting over there, doing nothing. When there's thousands of pounds of supplies over there that could be taken, they're just sitting there doing nothing. And blocking the runway with however many helicopters.
And this clip features a citizen journalist who has boots on the ground and who is engaged in rescue efforts, who does his best to explain how fed up those affected are with this piss-poor FEMA and federal government response, to include the county sheriffs in the region who are banding together to take a stand.
You probably saw my video the other day where I said that FEMA was confiscating certain donations and claiming jurisdiction over areas and confiscating supplies. Well, that turned out not only to be true, but now you're getting the reports from people saying that they're threatened to get arrested if they fly in or if they do any drop zone stuff. They're threatening truck drivers with arrest if they try to go in and impede in any way. What they're doing is they're flipping the script and they're calling rescue and relief impeding in government affairs, because the government doesn't have any money and because the government has to go through all the red tape and isn't really saving anybody. It's making them look very bad that citizens are doing it. So that's why they need to, confiscate things, and that's why they need to turn people away. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's some breaking news for you. We have 2 reporters on the ground down there right now, literally right now, with sheriff departments, and the sheriff departments are literally banding together with the fire departments and saying that they will arrest any federal employee that tries to impede in any rescue or relief by claiming jurisdiction and not allowing local and community sheriffs and fire departments and rescue relief and citizens airplanes and helicopters. The sheriffs are literally banding together right now and saying that we will arrest any federal agent that tries to, impede our ability to go out there and help these people, because it's not about red tape when it's civilian. And we're not going to deal with the red tape. We're not going to deal with the confiscations. We're not going to deal with your rules.
We as a people need to do everything we can to help our fellow Americans in this time of need. In a United States where the federal government actually functioned for the benefit of the people, instead of non-citizen globalists and exclusively the elitist class, every asset of the government's disposal would be employed to aid Americans first. An idea that the narcissistic and despicable far left terms as being selfish, even as they ignore the pleas from those desperate for help of any kind. When we come back, I'll get into the politics being played on this issue. And it's stunning that anyone has the gall to be playing political games with a situation like this and the one that's coming with Hurricane Milton, which is bearing down on the Florida Peninsula. This administration and its supporters make me sick. You're listening to Underground USA. I'm Frank Salvato. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Underground USA.
The federal government is becoming more centralized by the day. Opportunistic politicians are centralizing power in Washington, D.C., and incrementally whittling away at our rights. Should the worst-case scenario play out and Kamala Harris and Obama 3.0 assume power on November 5th, we must be prepared with a plan to rein in the Marxism they will unleash through the federal government. Nullification, the case for decentralizing the federal government by Frank Salvato, lays out a plan in which the state governments can claw back their sovereignty from the overreach of the federal government, saving us from a second bloody civil war. Arm yourself with the knowledge of this nation-saving option. Get your copy of Nullification, the case for decentralizing the federal government, available on Amazon.com in Kindle form and paperback.
When a government restricts the free speech of its people, it disrupts freedom and societal function, casting a shadow over the democratic process and the diversity of ideas. Free speech restrictions lead to countries where only certain viewpoints are heard. They stifle opposition and reduce the democratic process to a disingenuous formality. When people fear repercussions for their speech, they self-censor. This doesn't just limit controversial or offensive speech, but also destroys innovation, creativity, and even necessary discourse. Over time, this leads to a homogenization of thought, where only safe or approved ideas are expressed. And suppressing speech doesn't eliminate the underlying issues or beliefs, but drives them underground. Governments that curtail free speech do so to maintain control. When speech is controlled, it's easier for those in power to manipulate narratives, suppress dissent, and maintain their grip on power. That's why, when Kamala Harris says this, we should all be alarmed.
There has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop.
Any government's fascist restriction of free speech sets off a domino effect where freedom incrementally disappears. It's a foundational right that supports the structure of all other liberties, and its restriction can lead to a society where control overshadows freedom. And that appears to be quite all right with far-left Democrats, the DNC, and the Harris campaign. They're not saying it, but your right to free speech is on the ballot this November. Vote accordingly.
You're listening to Underground USA.
As the good, hardworking people of western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee, especially, but all the good people who have been devastated by Hurricane Helene and who will be in their position after Hurricane Milton, don't expect adequate responses from your federal government. Any response will be jam-packed with bureaucratic red tape and have strings attached that only the evil would tether to humanitarian aid. And it's all for the purpose of attaining and holding on to power and their own personal greed. Over the years, I've talked about how hyper-partisan and politicized our government has become. Disgustingly, this has enveloped the government's obligation to provide emergency relief and services to its people in their time of need. The Biden-Harris administration has become the gold standard, the epitome of political opportunism, where everything, even when people are dying, has to have a political angle to their benefit. Make no mistake, there is no benevolence in any actions Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have ever undertaken. Everything has a self-serving motive. In a time when our president should be ignoring politics to serve his people in need, instead, we have a president, a grifting, reprobate, self-enriching asshole who has an affinity for lying through his teeth, who claims credit for things he didn't do, hasn't done, and doesn't plan to do. In this next clip, we hear Joe Biden, and just saying his name makes me nauseous at this point, claiming credit for what Donald Trump set up and what Elon Musk deployed.
I've also directed the development of deployment of Starlink satellites. 50 are in place right now. More are going to be put in place so people in places like Canton can call for help and reach the ones that loved ones who they're not sure with anybody other than that phone because there's no cell service.
Now, just to illustrate how black-hearted and despicably unengaged the Biden administration is on the Helene issue, listen to what Biden had to say about how he believes the people of North Carolina feel about the federal government's response.
What do the states in the storm zone need, Mr. President?
Okay.
What do the states in the storm zone, what do they need after what you saw today?
Oh, in the storm zone?
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about. They're getting everything they need. They're very happy across the board.
This man is completely self-serving and arrogant. He's an imbecile, a monster. And frankly, anyone who supports him is also an ignorant, self-important, selfish monster. Not thinking about the good of the people, the good of the country. You're only thinking politics and partisanship. I can't tolerate that anymore. While our friends, our neighbors, our brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, extended family, while they beg for help, we have a cold-blooded reptilian of a Democrat presidential candidate in Kamala Harris who crows about facilitating $157 million in humanitarian aid for Lebanon while seeking a pat on the back for a delayed payment of $750 to the victims in North Carolina. That requires repayment in a year lest they lose their land for the balance.
How is it possible that Kamala Harris can just spend money like a drunken sailor? I mean, she is facing criticism this morning from angry Americans because she pledged $157 million to Lebanon at the same time that residents of North Carolina are struggling to recover from Hurricane Helene and another hurricane is on the way. Here's what Kamala Harris posted on X. I am concerned about the well-being of civilians suffering in Lebanon. The United States will provide $157 million in additional assistance to the people of Lebanon for essential needs such as food, shelter, water, protection, and sanitation. Meanwhile, FEMA is running out of money, according to Alejandro Mayorkas. And reportedly, they've abandoned a devastating North Carolina town because they allegedly were not allowed to drive around a sign that said road closed. One resident said that nobody's been bringing in supplies except civilians. Tulsi Gabbard has been on the ground. She spoke to me yesterday. She's been on the ground in North Carolina as well as Georgia. Watch this.
The sad thing is, Maria, I look back to what happened in Maui during the wake of the tragic historic fires there and the many layers of failures that came from FEMA. And I'm seeing the exact same thing play out here today. While Vice President Harris and Joe Biden claim to be doing all they can and providing all the resources possible, FEMA is out on the ground, they say. But when you go out into these rural communities, they have yet to see anyone with a FEMA jacket on knocking on their door saying, how can we help you?
If that weren't reptilian enough, if that weren't nauseatingly out of touch enough, Harris and her assholian campaign team, comprised of the goose-stepping Marxists of Obama 2.0, attempted to politicize the events surrounding Hurricane Milton to her political advantage. Harris took to the microphones to chide Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis, one of the best governors in the history of our country, for not taking her phone calls as he prepared his state to get hit by a Category 5 hurricane.
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Now, there's only one problem with what Harris said. Harris has no official role in any disaster emergency relief response. She isn't part of that process. She's not the hurricane czar. She hasn't been appointed the front person by the president, and she has no role at FEMA. She's inserting herself for political purposes exclusively into the situation to score political points and to attempt to salvage her declining poll numbers. Governor DeSantis handed her ass on a plate.
And I've been in touch with both FEMA and the president, as well as marshaling all our state agencies and working to support our local communities. And so for Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. And so what I think is selfish is her trying to blunder into this. No, she has no role in this process. I'm in contact with the President of the United States. I'm in contact with FEMA director. I'm obviously managing all our state agencies. We're supporting all our local government. And I will say this. I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign. She's trying to get some type of an edge. She knows she's doing poorly, and so she's playing these political games. I don't have time for political games. I've got people whose lives are on the line. I've got people whose homes and their possessions are on the line, and we are focused 100% on that mission. I'm not worried about playing her political games, and so she is being selfish by trying to blunder into this when we're working just fine.
Harris is as selfish, narcissistic, and self-serving as they come. Snakes have warmer blood than this demonic fiend, yet she continues her Goebbels-esque mantra that Donald Trump is a selfish narcissist. This is quintessential projection, and imbecilic Marxists always project who they are onto others. If all of this weren't disgusting enough, if all of this weren't infuriating enough, now come reports that the globalist elite in the form of BlackRock and Vanguard, both major investors in a company called Albemarle, are quietly waiting for the devastation in North Carolina and eastern Tennessee to be permanent and complete. Why? Because the world's largest lithium deposit is located beneath the devastated areas. Keep in mind that lithium is used for electric car batteries, and who would benefit from that? That's right, the elite and the connected of the far left. By the way, Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, the girlfriend-slapping misogynist soy boy, has a sizable investment in the BlackRock, Vanguard, Albemarle endeavor. A trusted source who's working on an in-depth fact-based accounting of this lithium story messaged me saying, a high-ranking FEMA representative said in order to get your property inspected, you have to sign a contract. In the contract, in very, very small print, it says if you haven't paid back any money you take from FEMA as an emergency aid in a year, the government has a right to take your property as repayment. That's the plan in North Carolina, so they can mine the lithium in the mountains, a move the residents have been fighting for a long time. It's said the mine can make $250 billion a year in profit. Kamala Harris's husband is a major stockholder in BlackRock and the mining company. Is the picture of why the federal government is slow-walking its disaster relief response coming into focus yet? Why there's no money for disaster relief? Why FEMA's broke? Why those who are elected to serve and protect the American people are letting our neighbors starve and die? My friends, paint this picture for yourself, if you will. When all is said and done, and all the bodies are counted, the death toll from Hurricane Helene, not to mention Hurricane Milton, will exceed those lost on September 11th, 2001. We went to war over that. From that perspective, how are the actions of the federal government, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, Chuck Schumer, Doug Emhoff, and the rest of the deep state elitist assholes not criminal? If the lithium mining story is verifiably true, and we'll be digging into this, BlackRock, Vanguard, and Albemarle must be held to task. With regard to BlackRock and Vanguard, perhaps even broken up and dissolved pursuant to antitrust laws. It can't be about 401ks and IRAs if the two biggest investment funds in the world, who have their hands up our elected officials' asses, are scheming to kill thousands for profit. I'll say this again. It's time to consider whether it's even worth having a federal government at all if this is the way they're going to abuse the American people. And a quick word about Facebook. They are aggressively going after conservatives and conservative groups and are ramping up their censorship efforts on critical emergency response and political issues. Zuckerberg lied. Gee, what a shock. Like a bad drug or alcohol addiction, we must wean ourselves off Facebook and explore other platforms that support free speech. X is one, Gab is another. And consider joining undergroundusa.com. It's a Substack publication, so there's little chance of censorship. And there are short-form social media elements in notes and chat that let you speak your mind. These lines of communication are important, and we have to establish them before it's too late. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, please support those organizations that are actually doing the work our federal government is refusing to do. We must step up to help our neighbors. That's what Americans do. Check out Samaritan's Purse, the Salvation Army, the Cajun Navy, Mercury One, and if you have a heart for animals, Best Friends Animal Society.
You're listening to Underground USA.
Who helped cause soaring gas prices? BlackRock. Who contributed to outrageous housing prices? BlackRock. BlackRock and Larry Fink spent years harassing oil and gas companies, making them divest from fossil fuels. Now you feel the pain. And BlackRock-owned companies are snatching up houses, crippling families. Now BlackRock's former ESG czar, Brian Deese, is Biden's economic advisor, crushing America from within. That's what BlackRock is really about.
Our First Amendment right to free speech is under attack by woke activists and politicians. Wokeism seeks to suppress opinions and ideas that are deemed offensive, insensitive, or problematic, thereby stifling the free exchange of ideas and the pursuit of truth. It emphasizes social justice, identity politics, political correctness, and the regulation of language, and relies on euphemisms and ambiguous language to create the illusion of consensus, thus avoiding confrontation with opposing viewpoints. Wokeism is antithetical to free speech because it stifles the free exchange of ideas and the pursuit of truth. This is in direct opposition to the principles of free speech. Wokeism is an ideological cancer shopped by those who want to control you. This November, we have an opportunity to render wokeness to the ash heap of history. Vote smart. Vote against wokeness and those who would use it to control you.
And we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
If you like the podcast, please go over to undergroundusa.com and sign up for our Substack publication. Comes straight to you, circumventing the censors and the fact checkers, the fake checkers, the lying reprobates of the far-left Facebook crowd. And don't forget to discuss politics, religion, and current events with your friends, families, neighbors, acquaintances, etc. When we understand that we have more in common than we have in difference, and that's what the elitists want you to believe, that we're all very different, all balkanized, all sectioned off so they can cobble together their 51% to win elections. When we realize that we have more in common than they want us to understand, we win. They lose. The country, the republic, survives. You're listening to Underground USA. No fear. No political correctness. No wokeism. My name is Frank Salvato.